Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is probably going to be my month 3, either February or March, I'm not sure. I'm recording it actually before then. I'm trying to record all of my From the Scrap Bin series early so that I don't let Tisa down and I have all my videos up and running. And today the plan is, for those of you that watched the inauguration, Amanda Gorman gave this beautiful poem, recited her poem, and I am going to do a 2-page layout where I have made a copy of her poem and put it on for one page, and then I have this printout from the internet of her speaking on the other page. And what I thought I would do is try to find scraps of yellow and red to kind of mimic her outfit and to use those on the page. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to look for yellow and red. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and you guys can watch me dig through my scrap bin. So welcome back. So this is on pretty high speed, but you're seeing me dig through the same scrap bin that I've had for a while, and I am just pulling out anything that could be considered yellow or red or black. I don't have my scrap bin, as you can see, in any sort of order, and so I'm literally just going from the top to the bottom and pulling out anything that has those colors in it. Once again, like we talked about before, for me, it's about finding an inspiration and then pulling that from your scrap bin. So I'm taking inspiration from that photo of Amanda Gorman and her outfit that she wore, which was the yellows and the reds. So I'm taking the yellow, the red, the black, and using that to what should I pull from my scrap bin. Now, as you'll see, as we put this page together, I ended up using mainly just the larger scraps, and that's okay. Sometimes it's the larger scraps that speak to you. We'll see in a next month that some of the smaller scraps might speak to me. You saw before that I was able to use scraps, of all different colors when I did the tag album back in January. So here's all the ones that I ended up pulling out, yellows and reds. And now I'm going to take those and I'm going to use those to create a page. So I'm going to start with 2 white pieces of cardstock as my base. Now, you could start with, I could have started with red cardstock as my base if I'd had 2 together that were same color, but I didn't really have 2 that actually matched. I had a black scrap, so I'm going to use that. I have this red from Christmas, so it was a red iridescent glitter, and I had that left over from my December daily, and I ended up being able to use some of that in this. So there's a lot of things that you can use to make different pages if you just dig through them and are willing to cut them up. Also, it kind of shows this particular piece of red, I might have put it back in my December daily for next year, but instead I threw it in my scrap bin, and it ends up working perfectly on this page. So sometimes those things that you think are specific to a holiday or season, they may work on a different sort of page. So the other thing that I'm doing here is I'm matting the photo in black, and you can see the back of that black is one place that I used for a cut file. So if you have that kind of a page or scrap where you have like a cut file in the middle, you can still use it to mat photos. So don't forget that. Don't forget to kind of lay your photos out, and maybe you can use those as a mat. The other thing I did want to talk about just a little bit is this QR code. So there's been a couple of podcast episodes. If you listen to the Scrap Gals, or I think Scrap Happy actually had one too, that talked about how to put videos onto your layouts. And if you watched my December daily videos, I talked about the life print that I have that actually prints out photos that you can then scan on your phone, and it'll show like a 15-second video. Well, another way to do video on your pages is to create a QR code. There's lots of different apps and lots of different websites online that will help you do that. I use QR code generator, and I'll link it in my description, but there's a lot of ones. You can just Google that. And basically, if you have a YouTube video, so you can either do a personal YouTube video that is private, or you can do like I did, is I just linked to one of the news stories that actually had her reading her poem out from start to stop. And I linked to that YouTube video. And so when you scan my QR code on my scrapbook page, you'll actually get to hear Amanda Gorman read her poem. And to me, that just brings the page alive a little bit. It makes people kind of be that moment. And just think about that as ways to add some form of interactivity to your page. I know we do pull-ups and flip-ups and all of those things, but you can actually add video to your page with QR codes or life print videos or those kinds of things. So just think about that as another way to improve your scrapbooking and to kind of make them last even longer. So while I've been talking about QR codes, I have taken the poem and from all the different pages, I have cut it up into strips. Now, I used Microsoft Word just to take the poem off of the internet and put it into columns. I printed the columns at like 3.5 inches so that I could do, 3 across, but ended up being about 4 across, and I didn't quite realize it until I printed it out. So I'm going to have to take them across 2 pages. If they were 3 inches wide, I might have been able to like fit them on one page, one 12-inch page, but because they're 3.5, I'm going to have to figure out a way to put that last little paragraph on the last page. Now, it ends up being okay because that last paragraph is kind of the paragraph that everyone kind of remembered from the poem, which is about being the light. And I think that was a really something that spoke to me. My one little word this year is light. So that last paragraph about being the light did kind of make a difference to me, and it really resonated with me. And that's one of the reasons why I think that I connected with this poem so much, because that is exactly what I'm trying to do this year is be more of the light and be more positive and to bring more positive energy. And a lot of that poem spoke to me because that's what it was about. So I'm going to actually have that part of the quote as a focal point on the second page. So I ended up really using just 4 papers. A big block of red solid cardstock, a big block of yellow solid cardstock, this really cool black floral that had red and yellows in it, which really matched everything. It also had the blue in it, which pulled out the steps of the carpet behind her. And then I had a iridescent red and the black. So although this was a scrap project and basically none of these were full cardstocks except for the white, I didn't have to use a lot of little pieces. And I think that's the other thing. Sometimes we have like these, 6 inch pieces of scrap paper and stuff. It's okay to just use them and use them up, and that's what I did here. So now you're seeing me kind of move all the other scraps off because I know I'm really not going to end up using them. I'm going to put this the second side of the page, or the second page of this 2-page layout. I'm going to mat the rest of the poem there on black. And then I'm just going to cut it out. I've got the QR code, I've got the rest of the poem, and then I'm going to have her photo. Now these I printed out on just regular printer paper because I really wasn't sure that I was making it a scrapbook page. I really wanted to just kind of read the poem and remember it. And I didn't want to waste the printer paper. So this is just printer paper. It's not like a photo paper that it's on, but it still looks really good. So I have that solid yellow, I have the red. So here's me putting this black matted on the red glitter, and it adds just a little bit of sparkle to that photo, which really made a difference. And I know it's not a lot of pattern here, but I feel like the poem and the picture kind of speak for themselves. Sometimes you can, say a lot with just solids. I think we kind of have gotten away from that a little bit with some of all the patterns. But sometimes just solids, kind of say it all you need to say, particularly if they are bright and vibrant colors. A lot of times we don't see yellow and red together, and it's one of the reasons I loved this particular outfit that she wore, and I loved this page just because those are some of my favorite colors to use in scrapbooking, and here they are together on one page. So it's a pretty simple layout as well on this side. So I just have a diagonal scheme where I have the poem at the upper left and the scanned QR code on the bottom right and the photo in the middle. I thought about using one more color and I just ended up saying no. So after this, what we're going to do is embellish. So I'm going to embellish the page with just some stickers, and I'm doing the same thing I did in back in January, where I kind of dug through my scrap stickers. So I don't have a collection. This is just all the different stickers that I have kind of held from other collections, or that I just collected, that are either over, I've bought 2 of and I haven't used them. So I've got some title stickers here, and we're just kind of pulling out ones that I think would work. They're not anything, they're not a collection, they're all kind of just, random stickers. And I have a lot of word stickers because if you can't tell, I'm a word person. I really enjoy writing, and I enjoy reading, and I enjoy just the written word. And I think that's why in scrapbooking I tend to gravitate towards word stickers and word phrases and word embellishments. And I think it's good to have something that you like. So I have this one set of stickers, and they had a whole bunch of affirmations. And I ended up deciding that that's what I wanted to use on the right hand side of the page. I did want a title though, and I knew I wanted to put The Hill We Climb as the title. So I'm going to go ahead and use these yellow Color Studios stickers. They're just about the right size, right color yellow. And I'm going to put The Hill We Climb on the left hand side at the bottom using those yellow stickers. So it takes me a little bit of time to kind of get them all lined up, and I use wax paper to put them on there, and they're not really sticking. I have a hard time with some of these stickers because they just don't stick. Also, I don't have enough L's, so I end up having to make L's. I think I take F's and I's and I make them into L's, which is fine. Sometimes you have to do that. Once again, they're your stickers. I think I've said this before with paper. They're your stickers, they're your paper. Just cut them and make them work. So I do that. I cut up the F's and I make them into L's, and end up putting The Hill We Climb on the bottom of the left hand side of the page. And it works out perfectly. And you can see it in yellow at the very end. When we see the full page, you'll see that. I did have to then take all of these individual stickers and put them through my Xyron because they weren't sticky, and that just is time consuming. So I'm going to skip that part, and instead we're going to jump straight ahead to the fun part, which is embellishing the right hand side. And I realize at this point that I have not stuck anything down. So I'm going to go ahead and stick everything down on the right hand side, and then you're going to get to watch just kind of how the page ends up coming together. So this yellow actually I think was a Felicity Jane because it has two different colors on it, and I used to love how Felicity Jane gave you a cardstock with two kind of complementary colors on it, and I realized later that that was great unless you wanted to use both colors, and then you ended up having to choose which one you wanted to use. So that was always hard for me. I think I'd rather just get a full sheet front and back of both colors so that I could have all the complementary colors in the kit. So it just depends on what collections you go with, but not all of them send you solid cardstock. So you just have to look for those these days. So here is the layout, and now I can actually embellish. I want to put Go Girl because I just think, she really nailed it. She really did amazing. I think, it was exactly the moment we needed to kind of remind people of the joy that you can find in this country, the peace you can find in the country, the bravery you can find in this country. A lot of things that I believe in, I think she exemplified with this moment of kind of coming from a 22-year-old, having her moment in front of everyone and really succeeding. I found it joyful. So I'm going to use, and I said thank you because I also think it was a moment that I will always remember, just to watching her shine and listening to those words and reminding us to be the light. So I use Go Girl, and then I'm going to use the affirmation words just to kind of say the things that I feel about that moment. I think I use fierce and limitless, and those are the things that I felt when I watched her read her poem. And this is one of those memories that I want to have for a while, and I want people to come back into my album and see and scan that and listen to that poem, and outside of the politics and outside of all of the other things that are happening, just remember this moment because I think it was beautiful. So we've got this, so we're going to put just some of the gold words up at the top, and I don't have gold anywhere else on the page, and I was okay with that because this is going to make this shine. You're going to see me struggle a little bit with how to lay these out, and at first I really want them to be, lined up and straight, and then I realized that's just not going to work. So I'm going to move them around and make them work. Once again, you're just going to go with what makes sense to you on a page. It doesn't always have to be what everyone else does. And I think that is kind of a key to my scrapbooking is, it's about finding something that I like, finding something that I want to do. And, scrapbooking should be fun. It should be kind of a break from your day to day. And if it gets too rigid and too hard, maybe take a step back and look and see how you can make it less stressful. And for me, kind of just going with the flow on this title was a lot less stressful. And that's what I did. And I think what I'm doing right now is struggling amazingly with these stickers. And these are another set of stickers that were just not working for me. So Wonderful wouldn't fit with Fierce. So then I've got to pull Fierce up and move it over and figure out where I want to put it. And it's just, then that little eye, I have to move the eye. And this is the point where I realize, okay, it's not all going to fit. It's not going to fit exactly where I want it to, but it's okay. We're just going to have some words and I'm going to enjoy all of those. Now, I think the word beautiful was there too, and I am trying to remember if I used it or not. Originally, I was thinking, and one of the things that, my daughter and I have talked about before is a lot of times when girls succeed or when women succeed, people call them beautiful or pretty or you were so, something like that. And I think it's more important to focus on some of the other things. And that's why I tried not to use beautiful or pretty or those kinds of words. Instead, I wanted to use the words that are more affirmational for, this moment that's not about, what you look like or what you're wearing. It's all about, how you acted and how you inspired. So I thought that was purposeful. And one of the reasons why I chose the words that I chose. So this is the right side of the page, and I think that I'm pretty much done. I'm going to add a couple of other little, there's a diamond that I'm going to add, and then another heart. But basically, I've finished embellishing that, and I enjoyed making this page. I enjoyed the process of it, and I enjoyed just kind of having this story in my 2021 album. I'm going to enjoy looking back at this and remembering this, even though it's not a story of my family. It's a story that mattered to me, and that's another thing I'll say about this story and about stories like this is that sometimes in your scrapbook you can put stories that matter to you, even if they're world events or if they're things happening around you. It doesn't necessarily have to be those things that are happening directly to your family or your children. Think about the things that you're seeing around you, and if they're important to you, feel free to scrapbook them because that's what you should do. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please come back next month where we go back to the scrap bin. And we are digging through the scrap bin every month to try to find ways to use up our scraps. And this used 3 or 4 of my scraps, plus some scrap stickers that I haven't, or stickers from my stash that I haven't used before. And I was able to get a 2-page layout done. There's a lot of other ladies linked below. Please join them as well on this hop. And I hope you come back next month. After this, there's going to be some close-ups of the page, and you'll be able to see the full page together. So thank you so much. Please comment and subscribe and give me a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed watching this. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.